This is my video for the Last Blast rifle match held December 31st, 2021. On this stage there is a hanging plate rack with no-shoot plates co-located with it. You don't want to hit the yellow ones. There are two silhouettes up on the mountain at about 300 yards, two flashers at about 100 to 175 yards, and another silhouette at about 300 yards. They will be engaged from two different positions. I'm using the BRN 180 Sport Upper on a KP15 lower with recluse trigger. The optic is the Primary Arms Micro Prism that you've seen me review on InRange TV. Because it's overcast, the MagnetoSpeed target hit indicators are much more visible than they normally are. I think it makes the video look a lot cooler than it does normally. Kneeling behind the table is definitely the more stable of these two positions. Shooting over top of the roof of the car flexes and moves around a little bit more. So I'm going to have some more misses from this position, but I still do very well for limited division. I know my audience doesn't see me shoot in limited division very often. Limited is iron sights, red dots, or one power prism optics like the Micro Prism. You can see my full review of this optic on InRange TV, but I think the Micro Prism is very well suited for this division because of its optical clarity and BDC in the reticle. I'm first out of 7 shooters in limited on this stage, giving me 100 match points. On this stage, there are 7 steel targets requiring a single hit. The targets range from 50 to 400 yards, and there is a rifle spinner that must be rotated in the middle of all of this. The lip on the port of the shooting table prop is just tall enough to support the rifle's forend with a 30-round magazine in place. After hitting those 3 plates that are basically in line with each other, I move on to shooting the rifle spinner, easily getting double taps and, in some cases, triples. I'm pulling the rifle down into the prop as hard as I can when I'm shooting rapidly like that. Moving on to the close-range plates, I almost forget to engage the furthest plate at 400 yards, but the BDC works perfectly and I get it on the first shot. I'm first in limited, giving me 100 match points. On this stage, the rifle starts unloaded in a shopping cart. At the buzzer, the shooter will move to the first position, load the rifle, and engage 5 steel targets. These same 5 targets will be engaged from each of these 3 positions. This first stepped barricade is the most stable of the 3 positions. I pull into the corner and lean into it to support. The other positions are not going to be as stable. The stage description requires that you shoot through the ports on this barricade rather than around the side of it. So you basically have your choice of one of 4 suboptimal positions. I opt for this one because it's the most comfortable for me to be in. But it isn't great support leaning forward into the barricade here, and the barricade itself is a bit rickety. This final position isn't bad, but it's a little too short for me to reverse kneel comfortably from. If the height of your knee is appropriate, you would want to reverse kneel from this position. I'm first in limited, giving me 100 match points on this stage. On this stage, there are 6 hanging steel plates that must be engaged from 2 positions outside the helicopter, then 3 plates up on the side of the hill that will be engaged from 2 positions inside the helicopter. From the second position, I know my hold's a little bit better on the plates at these distances, so I make the hits with fewer misses. Reload with my coupled mag on the way into the chopper. I'm going to support on the window frame and engage the 3 targets up on the side of the hill. It's not worth standing up to move forward because I'm going to have to go kneeling again from the front. I rest my rifle on the bottom of the window, and making hits using the BDC and the Micro Prism is very easy. I'm first in limited on this stage, giving me 100 match points. This is a steel challenge style of stage. There are 4 plates that must be hit before shooting the stop plate. you can rest your rifle on the concrete bunker we are shooting over. It started pouring on us on this last stage, and this is where limited division becomes a lot harder. I have a hard time visually distinguishing the target I'm supposed to shoot at 300 yards here. I have to really look for a visual indicator against the background, and I finally see it and make the hit. Once I've located that visual indicator of where the black target is against the backdrop, it's easier for me to see on subsequent runs.
This is tough and limited now. Are you ready? Stand by.
The way stages like this are scored is by adding all 3 strings together. Sometimes they'll throw out the worst one, sometimes only the best of 3 will count, but in this case, all 3 are counting for score added together. Even though there's only 5 targets and I haven't shot that many extra rounds, I reload just in an overabundance of caution to make sure I don't run out during this last string. I do try to go faster during this last string, and I end up having more misses at the 300-yard targets. Pushing speed very rarely works out on long range, but when you have a chance to go 3 strings back to back on a stage like this, if you want to try to see how fast you can go, this is the time to do it. I was 5th out of 7 shooters in limited on this stage with 78.67% of the winner's score. The weather conditions definitely affected my shooting on this stage and the ability to see the targets and transition quickly. I do wonder if most people shooting this match had the same experience of their 5th stage of the day in the rain being their worst one of the day. In the end, I'm 1st out of 7 shooters in limited with 478.67 match points out of 500 possible. Overall, I'm 8th out of 75 shooters with 80.49% of the winner's score. This is the best I have placed overall at the Rio Black Rifle Match format while competing in limited division. I think the Micro Prism optic, its clarity, and BDC reticle were big factors in that. I encourage you to check out my review of this optic on InRange TV. Thank you for watching. Come back again for more match and multi-gun competition content.